The role of the market operation is to administer the market through the extant document that controls the market. And these documents include, not limited to, the market rule itself, the grid code, the metering code, the market procedure. And all these are the documents signed by the distribution companies and all other market participants in order to allow the market to flow in a controlled way. In other words, the Nigerian electricity market is a regulated market, regulator being the Nigerian Regulatory Commission, NAC. In doing so, you understand there will be compliance. If somebody has signed an undertaking, business document, or whatever be it, it pertains to the person, entity, company, or group to comply to the agreement so far signed. And if it does not happen so, it means the documents so signed are just a mere piece of paper. So Nigerian electricity market has come of age. We have traversed the preliminary stage, and then we have entered into transitional electricity market, which we call TEM. TEM was declared in 2015, and that 2015, the new investors in the Nigerian electricity market were handed over their utilities, during which they signed the market participation agreement. And the participation agreement entails the do's and don'ts of the market participants. One of the drivers of a transitional electricity market is a bilateral transaction. It was agreed and put on paper that are supported by the Act, the Electricity Act of 2005, that transitional electricity market will be driven by bilateral transactions. In other words, entities that will be transacting business would be entering into contracts, power purchase agreements, and all that. And when bilateral transaction is involved, it means each party has to keep to the tenets of that agreement. Now, one of the important areas in declaring term is that everybody in the market will be receiving his invoice 100%, starting from the hen that lays the golden egg, that's the generation company. It is assumed that it's explained that they will be receiving their invoice 100%. And to ensure that that happens, the distribution companies were mandated by the rule to make security deposits, which we call security cover, in the market. And this security cover is 3 times average of their monthly invoice. In other words, 3 times value of the invoice is secured, is kept with a bank. And this is confirmed with the market operation that this is where you will have recourse, assuming a disco pays its invoice at the end of the month and it is not complete. It should be a revolving security cover, in the sense that if a distribution company has its invoice not paid in full at the end of the month, now the market operator will have a recourse to that security cover, take enough to complete that particular invoice to make good those who are in the positive side of the transaction. That's what we call it. Those who spend, who bring out the money, negative side of the market, and then who receive a positive side of the market. So if this is done, now before the next billing cycle, the DISCO is expected to replenish its security cover so that the market flows. And by so doing, There wouldn't be any space. There wouldn't be any outstanding that would call for government intervention. That was the original idea. 7 billion in a month. In other words, the security deposit target moves, and any person that has security deposit has to review it from time to time. It is not left for the market operator to review it, but because the document they have signed explains this, the regulatory departments of each of the market participants need from time to time to review what they have signed in the market. How is it going? Are we compliant or not compliant? So that's actually what you have seen, that yes, we have seen some discos have defaulted, and the process is very, very clear. And then that transmits to if a disco violates or defaults, what happens? The market operation has options. Today, it's really difficult to say you are going to disconnect a disco from the market, given the technical topology of the grid itself. A disco could be fed from 3-4 different generators. You can't actually disconnect a disco. Now, the rule itself recognizes this. It says the market operator can do one or two things. Can outrightly say the disco is banned from the market. Now, how can you do that? And considering the economic nature, what people will suffer and all the rest of them, you say you are disconnecting them. What will happen? It's not something that is practicable. Rather, another option remains: section of the distribution network can be disconnected. That is as a temporal punishment, so that they will feel it and rush to do the needful. And that's what we are trying to do. That's what we are not trying to punish anybody. Nobody is singled out for punishment. Rather, it is a matter of compliance to the agreement they have signed.